Well, I know we've both been just past few weeks have been very draining. We wanted to do a podcast last week, but we're just like, we might have to do bi-weekly because
Yeah,
it's just life is life and it's hard to compile everything every week. So,
absolutely.
but we did get some questions that came in, so we wanted to answer those and,
Yeah.
you know, may not be as long as it normally is, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Course.
We'll see where we go because normally we figure it out and we just start talking. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Should we start with the hometown hero updates?
Yeah, so we do have hometown hero updates, and if you're just starting out listening to us, I'm Gibby Eagle. I am a native to Southwest Florida. I work for Maxim Realtors, and yeah, I've been in the industry for about 10 years, and absolutely love studying the market, negotiating, and I'm very passionate about real estate and this career. So. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us at Real Talk, Real Life, Real Estate at gmail.com. Comment below, and we're working on a website, but we haven't got that far yet. One step at a time.
One baby step at a time.
Yes.
This is episode 3.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm Alexandra King. I am a loan originator with NRL Mortgage. We're located in Coconut Point in Estero, Florida, if you're not familiar with the area. I've been in the industry since 2020, but I will tell you, I am super passionate. Well, I specifically am very passionate. I love to work with first-time home buyers just because I like to slow down and educate and be able to explain to people the loan process, because we all know that there's been more horror stories than not in this industry. So, I'm just trying to correct that one loan at a time.
And I can attest that you are passionate about it. I mean, I feel like there's so many people that get into these industries because they think it's easy money, and it's not. And some people do it for the paycheck, but there's people like Alex and I that do it because we enjoy educating and guiding people, and just seeing the success stories on the other side when we're done working with someone. So I think I've become friends with every single one of my clients too. It's just, and I'm sure it's just, there's a difference in real estate agents and mortgage brokers depending on who you use.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, I've gone to happy hours, dinners, still talk to some of them, not everyone, but yes, no, I would definitely say, like, for sure, they know that they can call me or text me if they ever have a question about anything, even after we close. I'm sure you do too, more times than not, mortgage questions or even titling questions or, hey, no, this person didn't answer me. Do you know how to answer this question? Things like that. So, but that just shows that we care about our clients, and we don't want them to be sitting there wondering and lost and confused. We want them taken care of. So,
and I know you've had quite a few questions come in from clients too. So, and if someone's asking it, we know other people are asking them. So we thought it'd be a good idea to answer those. Like we said, if questions do come in, we'll take time to make sure that we address them. So
yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll start with the Hometown Hero update.
Oh, yeah.
So if those of you who are just tuning in, we have spoken about the Hometown Hero program before, but just a really quick overview. It is a down payment assistance program that is available for all first-time home buyers in the state of Florida. What you get is 5% of whatever your loan amount is. So I like to do numbers. So, so say your loan amount is $200,000. You would then get $10,000 to use towards your down payment, and the remainder would be able to be used towards your closing costs.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, it's a great program if you are somebody who's never bought a home and or maybe considered a first-time home buyer, which I'll get into that definition in a minute. Especially if you have good credit, have a stable job, and you've been trying to save that money for that nest egg, for a down payment and closing costs, but maybe you constantly feel like you're coming up short. This program is definitely an amazing option for you. So we've definitely been pushing it, and I will say it is extremely popular.
Yes. Well, you guys will be very shocked on where the numbers are at now. But if you have more interest in the Hometown Heroes program, go back and listen to our first and second podcast. We do dive into that and explain it more in depth, and as far as your income limits and all that kind of stuff. So
and if you have questions too, like you said, you can email us at the email that you just literally said.
Real Talk, Real Life, Real Estate at gmail.com.
And then we'd be happy to answer your specific questions through there as well, especially if you think you might qualify for the program. So yes. So shall I tell them?
Yeah,
Shall
yeah,
I tell
because
the
this is
people?
huge. Yeah.
So July 3rd is when $100 million was officially allocated for this program. Guess what? July 11th. No, July 17th.
Close enough.
Yeah, whatever. July 17th, we were down to $68 million that was left to use in this program. So that was literally what? We're down $32 million.
32 million. Yep, in 17 days.
It's, yeah.
And now today, yep,
July 25th,
yep,
we're down to $57 million that is left available in the program.
So another 11,000 or $11 million in just, just over a week. So,
right. So if you are interested in this program, the time is now.
Yeah.
I have people that have been on the fence, been waiting for rates to come down, been waiting for home. Wow, it's a good thing to podcast. Home prices to come down. I mean, I know you can speak on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, these funds are not everlasting. I mean, this 100 million is in here. Who knows if it's successful? Maybe DeSantis will be able to bring in more funds somehow, but really these funds will not be replenished until people refinance, they sell their home, they pay off their mortgage,
right?
Whatever it is, those funds you will be required to pay back during whatever one of those instances comes first, and it will be it will be put back into the pot. So
it's supposed to become a self-sustaining program, but obviously when you're in the beginning phases of anything, you have to put all that money in up front to be able to eventually see it again on the back end. And I always tell people too, because I know there have been people, they're like, well, wait, you mean I don't get to keep this money? So you're using this money. It's going to go 3 to 3.5% will go towards your down payment. The remainder of that will go to your closing costs. So you're coming out of pocket very little. But it's going to sit on the property as a silent second mortgage, as we talked about. So it's not going to amortize. You're not going to pay on it as long as you're owning that property as your primary. However, like you just said, if you refinance, if you sell your home, or technically if it's no longer your primary, that money would just get lumped into what you already owe on your mortgage payment. So you don't have to worry about coming up with that money out of pocket to pay anybody. It's not like that. It just gets lumped into your actual first mortgage payment.
Yeah, and I think the big issue here is people being on the fence is they aren't really processing the fact that this money is not available forever.
Right.
So it's like if you're thinking about it, I would jump on it as soon as possible. You can't wait till home prices go down. And you're seeing home prices go down because that's where people have been in the sky with they're listing their home. You're thinking it is the same as it is the past 2 years. It's not. You got to be priced at market value or below. So if you're seeing price drops, it's just sellers trying to find that sweet spot. So don't wait.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, refinancing is there for a reason.
Yeah.
So we always say, marry the house, date the rate.
Yep.
So anyway, that was just the updates to let you know that the program is super popular. People are definitely using it because it's amazing. It honestly has helped so many people. So I'm
for sure
obviously super passionate about it. Here are some other awesome questions that I've been getting kind of in relation to the Hometown Hero program. So first question was, what is a first-time home buyer? So I did not realize how many people did not understand that as long as you don't own a primary home right now and you haven't sold that home within the last 3 years or bought a home within the last 3 years, you are now considered a first-time home buyer.
Yep.
Which means you can technically qualify for these benefits.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have known that. I mean, I know it just from being in the industry, but I mean, if you're not just a first-time home buyer by I mean, it's, you hear the word first-time home buyer and you think, okay, well, I've already bought a home before, so I don't qualify, but you do if you haven't owned a primary residence in the last 3 years. So I think that's huge.
Game changer.
I know a lot of people, like I have prior sellers we sold a couple years ago, and they're coming up to their 3-year mark in April, and we're just not finding what they want. And, they're one of those people waiting for interest rates to come down, but it's people's own personal preference. You can only, push so much, but I told them, I said, if you wait till April, you're going to be a first time home buyer again. So you do have those qualifications that are a little different. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows where this program will be? Like you said, they could refill it, or they literally could say, "Hey, we're not going to be able to do anything till next July again."
Yeah. And what do they only get 30? It's, and then how do they determine who, if the pot's low, how do they determine who you're getting it, but you're not? Sorry, it's
Right.
just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so the cool thing I love about this program is like from a mortgage side, and I think it's super technical.
Yeah.
When you lock the rate, you reserve the funds.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good to know.
so it's not going to be like those down payment assistance programs where you're under contract, you think there's money, and then all of a sudden you find out there's no more money. It literally gets specifically reserved for you.
Well, that's good to know.
Based on your loan amount. Yes.
And talking locking rates, because I know you said earlier, you were the way things were today, and with interest rates, you were like, I'm not going to lock my clients' rates. I'm going to wait.
Yes.
So is there a certain time frame you have to lock it by before you close, or how does that work?
So when you lock a rate, I had a question on this one.
Okay.
Somebody once asked me during the pre-approval process, can you lock me in at this rate? The answer is no. You need an executed contract to be able to lock in an interest rate.
Okay.
However, depending on the type of program or what you've quoted the client, there are different rate lock days.
Okay.
So with this specific program, Hometown Hero program, I need to be able to lock the loan prior to when you close, of course.
Yep.
Also, it has to be a 30-day window. So, example, say we were not going to be closing till a month and a half from now, I would not be able to lock in and reserve this particular rate for this client until we were within the 30-day window of closing.
Okay. So with it, once you hit that 30 days before closing, you can lock at any time.
But I mean, I always am paying attention to the market. I do my daily due diligence to see. I get updates on my phone all the time just to see where we are. And also just paying attention to, knowing that the Fed is meeting, for example, or just looking at market trends, especially with where inflation is and what numbers are going to be coming out that week. You can usually determine whether or not things are going to get better or if things are going to get worse.
Okay.
And plus, like with my company as well, we have all these alerts that come out that say, rates are floating, or hey, things are coming out that are not favorable for rates today. If you're closing like really soon, you should probably lock your file.
Okay.
So constantly every single day, we're studying the market. We are determining what's best for our client, because obviously we're here to help them get the best possible deal, not here to take all your money like some people think. I am truly, studying and making sure that we're paying attention to what's going on. So
for sure.
Yeah. So for example, today the rate was 25 basis points, which means nothing to you guys, but it was worse than it was yesterday. And all the indicators are saying it's actually going to get better. So I'm keeping my eye on it, and I want the client to be able to have a better rate if possible. So I'm watching it right now. So I'm letting it float. If you've ever heard that term, that's what I'm doing right now.
That's good to know. So once you lock that rate, those funds are
allocated to that file. I mean, obviously, I'm also looking at each day. Okay, we're at 57 million. I'm never going to hold something.
Yeah, like, we're down to like what, 500,000.
Well, at that point, I'd be like, welcome to Mayday. Yeah. But I know, like, between now and the closing day, which is mid-August, I'm going to be okay. So I'm just paying attention to all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so then that was the first time home buyer one.
Okay.
So, and then here's a good one. The question was, am I considered a first-time home buyer if I was on the deed of my parents' home?
I even have this question. She said it earlier. I was like, okay, wait, now I want to expand on that because now I have further questions on that. So
my answer to that question is, if you have lived in your parents' house that you are on the deed of within the last 3 years, you are not a first-time home buyer.
That's crazy. And it kind of stinks because, sometimes parents will put you on that, maybe to help with your credit or something. Like, I remember growing up different, but my mom put me as a co-signer or whatever on her credit card. And it's, to help boost credit. Like, I assume putting them on the deed, it's helpful.
I've seen that also if there are parents that are a little bit older and they are worried about where the home is going to go if they were to pass. It's so, because when you are on the deed of a property, you are considered an owner, even if you're not on the mortgage.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where they're trying to be able to make sure the home doesn't go into probate. But I mean, you can get around that by having a will.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
Okay.
going to see a real estate attorney and having that conversation. Like, I'm worried XYZ. What does this look like? What can I do?
Okay. So when you say on the deed, because I've
Mhm.
seen there's different ways to title a deed. Like
Mhm.
someone will title it like Jane Doe, and then there's I don't know all the asterisks that go after it to say like the home does go to this person when I pass. Are they
Yeah.
still considered on the deed with that?
So if your name is listed on the deed, typically
Completely.
it will say, yeah, completely,
Okay.
and it will say rights of survivorship.
Okay.
Is
So is that
typically
still considered that you're on the deed? Oh wow. That's crazy.
with rights of survivorship mean that you are owner of that home.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're listed on the deed
Okay.
of the
Wow.
property.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, basically it's one of those things where I get why people do it, but also you have to think from the standpoint of, wait, am I actually prohibiting my child or somebody else from being able to qualify for specific benefits by putting them
And
on
that's
a
nuts
deed?
because I feel like a lot of people don't think about that when they're
No.
writing it,
Well,
doing the deed,
here's the catch-22 though. If that child is not living in that
Okay, yes.
home,
Yep. All right. I see. I think I
so
strayed away from
yeah.
that a little
So
bit.
if that child is not living in that home as
Okay.
their primary, that's a different
Okay.
story.
Okay.
So I'm specifically saying, if you've lived in that residence as your primary residence within the last 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
you are not considered a
Okay.
first-time
I think
home
I
buyer.
strayed from that. I just
No,
got
no,
so
no.
focused on the deed
That's
thing. I was
okay
like,
though.
wait, what?
Yeah. So, I've had that conversation recently actually with a young first-time home buyer. His parents actually just refinanced because he was on the mortgage as well.
Oh
They just
wow.
refinanced to get him off, so that way the debt wasn't going to be used against him.
Oh wow.
And now him and his partner are trying to qualify for their own home, and that brings me into my next point.
Okay.
Slash
Wow.
question,
Wow.
because I have been asked, does my spouse have to be a first-time home buyer to qualify for the Hometown Hero program?
Okay.
Meaning, if you have one spouse who is considered a first-time home buyer, which in
Mm-hmm.
this circumstance his girlfriend is a
Okay.
first-time home buyer, he is not.
Okay.
However, he now no longer has a mortgage against him because his
Okay.
parents took him off. He can be a co-signer on the mortgage with his girlfriend. So he
Okay.
will be on the mortgage. However, this program specifically states he cannot be on the deed.
Wow.
So he is, I mean, some people are like, well, that doesn't make sense because he's required to pay the debt back, but he's not a full owner.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, if you're a married couple, the reality is you'd have to figure that out.
Yeah.
So basically, he will be able to be a co-signer for her, so that way they can, qualify for a higher purchase price. But he will not be on the deed of that property.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And to it, like I remember when this Hometown Heroes program first came out, I was getting all excited for my friends. Again, not thinking about the deed thing. I'm like, oh, they don't have a mortgage. But then I'm like, oh crap, because one of my friends, she was gifted the home when her mom passed, so she's on the deed of the home. And
Is it her primary?
yeah. And see, I was like, so I was all excited about this program and oh, you could buy, and I was like, oh my gosh, like duh, like you can't because you're already on the deed and you live in the home,
Right.
So it was, it's just I didn't even think about it, but there's those fine lines where, I was getting all excited and everything, and then I had to backtrack like, oh, I'm sorry, but you don't qualify,
Right.
But it's a new program, we're all getting used to it and stuff. But yeah, if you're on a deed of a home and you live in it, then and it's considered your primary, you're not a first time home buyer.
Right.
So
Yep. I know. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest questions that I've been asked.
Yeah.
The other question, or like, I've not that if you dive deep enough into this program, you will see that there is a bond program with the Hometown Hero program, as well as something called the TBA program.
Okay.
The bond program sometimes has lower rates, which people are like, oh, I want the lower rate. But the reality is there are stricter income limits. There are stricter purchase price limits and loan limits. And the thing I don't love about the bond program is that everybody that lives in your household that has an income, that income needs to be recorded on your application.
Oh, wow.
So the kicker with the Hometown Hero program that some people don't know is that it is the income that's going to be used to qualify you is just what you want to put on the 1003.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because if you have several jobs and you only want to have one job, like say for example, actually this is a better example. Say you have a husband and a wife.
Okay.
They both make decent money. They're both first-time home buyers. The wife literally could be on the mortgage by herself as long as she's underneath the income limits and you can qualify for the home.
Okay.
And the husband, you can still put him on the mortgage as well, but you don't have to use his income. So that way, she's not taking on all of the responsibility of the mortgage. God forbid something was to happen. He can still be on it, but literally we don't have to record his income if
that makes sense, because I've actually had buyers, like the ones that are coming up in April, that'll be first-time home buyers again. I'm like, I know that they're probably going to be over the income limit, but I know she could qualify on her own.
I mean, and the other option is he doesn't even need to be put on the mortgage or the deed. If she wants to do it all her own, that's totally fine too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So basically, you won't have to record your husband's income or wife's income if you don't want to with the TBA Hometown Hero program. Okay. So,
yes, it's getting my gears turning now.
I know, there's like so many little stipulations.
Yeah, it's like this program came out. And I only know the basis of it, and I guess there's just a lot more in depth with it, and you can get you can get creative with it if you're.
That's why I love it. Yeah, no, I enjoy it because I mean I've definitely spent a lot of time researching and asking questions just because you don't ever want to set someone up for failure with a new loan program. Yeah. So I do my due diligence, but I've definitely learned a lot of things and been asked a lot of good questions that I've been able to ask and relay information back. So so I think it's important to share it with everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I just, again, I mean, this program, I wish it was available when I was buying. I mean, luckily I was able to buy and interest rates were low. I'm very grateful for it, but I mean, this program is huge, but it's like with the inflation and stuff, it's really, it's just really helping people out. So, because I'm sure a lot of that money people have been saving is starting to dwindle.
Yes, especially if they're not getting cost of living increases and things like that with where they work. You can definitely, things have all gone up. I mean, that's the reality of the world we're living in right now. So if this program's able to help anybody, I highly recommend that it's taken advantage of, just because I think the more we talk about it and the more we bring awareness to it, then people know it's not one of those things where it's too good to be true. Yes. It's not a scam. It's not.
There's been a lot of down payment assistance programs I feel that were too good to be true, or just very fine lines. This is pretty much an open book.
Exactly. And that's why it's one of the reasons why I like to keep talking about it. I know some people might be like, you're beating a dead horse, but the reality
this is such a big thing right now. It's like, and it's changing we're learning new stuff every week. And, the amount that's in the pot is changing. So it's something, it's relevant.
Yeah. So. And people are using it. Yeah. So that's why, I want you to know, this is real. It's real money that you can use to help you get into a home if that's, what one of your dreams is and goals is to purchase. I mean, why not use the resources? Why not reach out to us? Why not ask the questions? I mean, we're here and happy to help. This program is obviously here and supposed to be helping you all. Yeah. So why not take advantage of it?
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if you can answer this. I actually had someone reach out to me too, and I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. They were wanting to build. Can you use it towards build, like a construction to perm loan? No. Okay.
Nope. So you could use it on a new construction home that's almost completed.
Yes. Okay. But you can't go out and buy land, turn it into a construction to perm loan and build. Okay.
Unfortunately not.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because they did ask me and I was like, I don't believe so, but
you're correct.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Yeah. So and I want to remind people too, I know we've expressed this as well with this program coming out, don't wait. And there are ways. I know that it's scary, interest rates are a little bit high right now. And it's important for people to really understand that right now is a better time to be able to negotiate. I know we have high hopes that interest rates will be down, end of this year, early next year, we hope. But if you wait till that time, these funds may be run out, or they could be very low. Your chances of getting into the program are a lot slimmer, but also you're going to be in those bidding wars again. So you got to work with an agent and a mortgage broker that's willing to get creative with you. No matter who you use. I'm not saying you have to use us. You could be already working with someone, but just be comfortable with them and make sure that you are being creative. I know you were dealing with someone, a client the other day, and their home is in a flood zone, and something came up, and you said go back and ask the sellers for $10K to get this closed.
Yeah, guess what?
And they said yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're able to save the deal by getting creative. It's like it's now is a better time to take advantage of sellers being eager to sell. Rather than them knowing like, no, I don't have to accept that. Like I'll get it sold. It's like, no, we're seeing price decreases. We're seeing, higher days on market, and sellers are a little bit nervous that market is changing, so
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just, you can get creative in so many different ways, asking for concessions towards closing costs, during your inspection period, being able to, negotiate for repairs, so it's just, there are so many ways to save money right now, even though the interest rates are making it seem like you can't save money.
Correct. I mean, think about it. If you, like you just said, yeah, sure, rates might be lower. You might be saving, I don't know, $100 or usually less, quite honestly.
Yeah.
$100 we'll say towards your principal and interest payment. But if you're paying $20K over asking, what are you actually saving?
Exactly.
I mean, that at the end of the day, and plus, not to mention that market, I remember.
I hated it.
I felt so bad for my clients, and I'm sure you were on the forefront. I was just hearing the bad news that like the 6th offer was not accepted, or oh well, cash is king, or and obviously neither. Granted, I know cash is great for you. That that's consistent with a closing for you. I mean, not great for me.
Yeah, certainly. If I'm representing the seller, representing buyers was like my worst nightmare, because I took on the emotion with them, knowing like, all right, we're literally 10 to 15 houses in on making offers. It's like somebody came up, write the offer. Like at this point, I don't care. But, you take on the emotion with them. And
for sure,
it was a horrible time. Like I still think about it. I'm just like, man, do I miss it now? Because it's kind of like, okay, this is uncomfortable after the last couple of years. But I enjoy the fact that there's, a little bit more freedom. Like one of my favorite things is to negotiate. I love negotiating because I really dig into the market and I find good comps and just little things where I can just, I like to be able to present something like, this is where I'm coming from. I'm not being offensive. Like this is here,
right.
Like this is, I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere. So it's now I'm able to do that again, just being able to, and really actually help. It's like buyers would hire me to represent them. And I'm like, really can't do much for you. How much do you want to offer over asking? And let's just hope that it appraises, because
that's another story.
Because sellers wouldn't allow to put appraisal contingencies in either. So now it's like most sellers are more like lean towards like, all right, fine, we'll accept an appraisal contingency.
I mean, I'm just thankful that we got inspection periods back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's that market was not my favorite either. Just like for a lot of reasons, but all of that to say, we're just here to like try to explain to you that could potentially come back. Once rates drop.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that I'm pretty sure I read this, that for every 1 point that rates drop, 5 million buyers will then re-enter the market.
Wow.
Like, and I'm not talking about in Florida. I meant like as an average, nationwide. So just keep that in mind that, yes, rates are going to drop. That's awesome. But wouldn't you rather be in the house that you love, that you're comfortable in with the payments now, and then be able to refinance in the future?
And know that you're not,
up against 20 other people.
With your head cut off with everybody else.
Throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like, oh, I hope this one sticks. This was my 18th choice, but I'll take it because it's a home. Like,
And it totally goes off of what we were saying before. Like, separate your wants and needs, and just do with what you're comfortable with right now. Because if you're one of those people waiting, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get your like, crap. Like I should have just got that house that I wanted, 6 months ago, and I could have, It's just
no, for sure. I mean, it's we've just walked through it. We've seen it. We've seen the emotion, and I always say, obviously, do what's comfortable for you. If rates are too high and like literally you don't qualify for basically anything right now, I understand. Like, obviously, take what we're saying with a grain of salt. But just keep in mind that if you are comfortable with the monthly payment and you have several homes that you're like, oh, no, this could be a great
Mhm.
first time home. XYZ, like, I could do this to it, do that to it in the future.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Well, I'm like, I say that respectfully, of course. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just there's ways to get creative, and now is a great time to start taking advantage of this. Now that we've seen how much it's decreased in the just within a couple weeks.
we're not even a month in.
Yeah.
August 3rd will be one full month in.
But I am so happy people are taking advantage of
Heck
it.
yeah.
Like we've seen buyers struggle for several years, and
Yeah.
now it's like now is your time. This is your time, because in all reality, like investors that are financing, this isn't the best time for them. This is the best time for a primary home buyer.
Yeah, no,
So-
absolutely, for sure.
So unless someone's paying cash, like first time home buyers do have, they're one foot forward in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and
So-
I think like take advantage of it.
Mhm.
Definitely ask the questions that you need to ask to make yourself feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Make sure, like Gibby said, I mean, it doesn't have to be her and I. Just make sure you're able to ask those hard questions or talk to somebody that you feel comfortable with, that knows the market, that knows what they're doing, is a
Mhm.
professional in this industry. Stop listening to Joe next door and
Yeah.
your mom and your dad who bought 20 plus years ago. I mean, reality is you need to be talking to people who are in the in and now and watching the market daily, are
Yeah.
literally working with buyers daily,
Yep.
working with sellers daily.
And if you talk to your parents as boomers, they experience interest rates in the double digits.
Right.
Like, to them, they're like, this is nothing. Yes, inflation's up and prices have gone up, so it does make a difference. But, in reality, we've just been used to these, 2%, 3%, whatever, and now it's like, it is terrifying and it's scary, especially if you're not in the know. And it's just like she said, just educate yourself and talk to somebody.
Mhm.
The more you just sit there and wonder, like, all right, I can't qualify or whatever it is, like you're just playing the waiting game with every other buyer.
Yeah.
So,
And you would be shocked what you actually can qualify for. Or,
mhm,
not for nothing, at least let's put a plan together so you can get on the path
mhm,
to qualify for something, because you don't know what you don't know.
mhm.
So
Yep.
ask the questions. That's what we're here for.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. Just preaching today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are all our questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone has any other additional questions, obviously, comment below. If you're watching this on a platform where you can,
Or
I'm like, wait, what happened? They're on Spotify.
Yeah, or you can email us. I
Yes.
mean, you can email us at realtalkrealliferealestate@gmail.com. We can answer questions. We can see your questions there and answer them on the next one. Not all the time will our videos be, 45 minutes to an hour, which I think is okay. I mean, we just want to get the information out that we can. And I know you and I, with our personalities, we could go on forever, but
Right, yes.
it doesn't. You guys don't need to listen to us all the time,
I mean, right. So we'll cut it here for today.
Yep. But again, we're here for you if you guys have questions, and even if you are working with somebody else, I mean,
yeah.
If you need a second opinion, we're
Absolutely.
happy to help. So
always, yep.
Yep.
No strings attached, but
Yep.
we're happy to answer questions and educate. So
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks, and have a great couple weeks.
Signing off.
See ya.
Bye.